In this session, we will discuss about the master records. These are the master records needed in QM. We already discussed about the main master record used across modules, right? Which is the material master. That's one of the most important ones. But we do have others, for example, that will be used in QM, besides other modules as well, of course. So we have batch master, for example. This is a master record, very important, especially when we are handling batch records and we want to control record inspection with QM, for example. So we can do an inspection before it's expired and just to check if we can extend the expiration date or the validity date, right? Or we need to dispose the material, for example, because we cannot use it anymore. We're going to be talking about the batch master. We're going to be talking about the vendor master as well, and basically production resources and tools. We're going to be using this in certain cases when we want to have some equipments, for example, or materials, or both of them to run whatever is related to calibration process. Okay, so if you have some lab equipment that needs to be calibrated, we will need to relate QM with PM in order to get the calibration process done properly, okay, at the specific point in time. We will see that specifically in a video when we are talking about QM in plane maintenance, but we will discuss very quickly at least a production resource and tool record in this case. This is also very, very common for production. Okay, so you can assign in a master recipe or in the routing, you can assign the different instruments. In inspection plant, it's also possible, although normally it's not done because it is part of the, let's say, laboratory responsibility to know exactly what equipment should be used, etc. And we can also put that in the inspection method, for example. Okay. Anyway, these are the master records we're going to discuss in this session. And then, of course, we will have specific sessions for all these other master records, like master recipe or routing, the reference operations set, the work center or resource inspection method, quality agreements, quality information records, master inspection characteristics, safety procedures, inspection plan, and material specification. In general, we need to think about the master record, let's say, as two types: purely, let's say, object, okay, with a header and different views. Or we can also think about a header plus task list, where you have multiple lines, and in each lines you can have a lot of properties. Okay, so those are more complex. Let's say material master, we can say it's of the first type. It's an object. You have different views with a lot of fields to populate, depending on the process you want to activate, of course. And on the other hand, some task lists, like a master recipe, we will see that, for example, that we will have some header data, but we can also have line item level. Okay, so we have multiple lines, which is basically operations and phases if it's a master recipe, or operations only if it's a routing, for example, or if it's an inspection plan. Here, for example, we will have operations, okay, in inspection plan. Okay, let's go to the practical session now. MBE, let's check the stock. This material, this is a material we created before to be used in other examples. So let's check if we have a batch for this. There's no stock, no batch. Okay, because this is recently created material. Okay, let me put some stock in. Let's go to Mago. Go to zip other, movement 501, material, quantity. Let's say we want 100 unit, where 1710 is the plant, and let's choose the store's location 17. It has to be plant 1710, of course. Let's do it on B. Okay, yeah. Okay, so everything seems to be okay here. Okay, check. Data protection. Okay, since we put some a value for the shell life, we need to put the data protection of this batch. Okay, the batch is being created, no problem, right? But we need to put the data protection. Okay, so we need to go to batch. This is one of the master records we're talking about. Okay, and the data manufacturer can be, for example, let's assume it was produced a couple of weeks ago, right? Or if you have already the expiration date, we can put it here. But typically it's the date of manufacture that is needed because the expiration date will be calculated depending on the shelf life. So everything should be okay now. Yes, it's green. It's posted. Posted. Perfect. So if we go to the here, yeah, MMB. Now we have 100 units with a batch 630. Okay, 630. Perfect. 100 units. So let me just pick this up and let's analyze this master record. Okay. A transaction to check the batch as an object was a record. It's MSC3N without doing any change, of course. If we want to do changes, we need to do 2 instead of 3. So that's the batch. Plant. And we have a data manufacturer on 15 of April, as we have chosen in the date, manufacturing date, when we did the good receipt. Okay, that's the date. And typically, if you're doing this as a production, you're doing the good receipt in the production, the proposed date will be the day that you are doing the good receipt. But you can change it, of course, if it was in a different day. The status is unrestricted by default, and we have a next inspection date. Okay, we will discuss these details, this kind of details in recurring inspection. Okay, when we will be discussing specifically the batch management in general. Okay, it's a specific video for that, but this is just a glimpse of what the batch record is and the data that it's important here. Okay, the good receipt was done on the 3rd of May. Okay, which is today. And we have this inspection, next inspection calculated automatically for 2026. As you can see, since the next inspection we put is 1 year, okay, the system is adding 1 year for the next inspection. Okay, basic data 2, normally there is nothing here unless we want to use for some specific usage one of these fields. These are free fields, okay. And the batch also can be classified as we discussed before, right? So as you can see, the date when the batch was produced was automatically transferred to this, okay? And the expiration date is also transferred as well to this one. So we can use this to do a selection of a batch before shipping to a customer, for example, okay? Or for production as well. Okay, this is the purpose of having some specific data transferred to class characteristics in the batch of as an object. Okay. Well, material data, you know what it is, right? And documents, we can add some documents here in document management system, but no need to do that normally. And the changes, okay, in this case, it was me who has with the microtransaction. Oh, unfortunately, this is okay. Microtransaction, okay, Amigo, the way you want to call it, and this is the document number. Okay, so basically, this is what we see in a batch record. Okay, this is a batch as an object. Again, it's the typical data object because you have views and you have fields, right, with certain parameters here. Okay. Okay, so next master is the vendor master. Okay, let's go to vendor master now. To vendor master, let me go back. In S/4HANA, this has been changed, and now we need to go to a centralized T code as BP because it's business partner. Okay, this is a centralized one. Let me find that. I think I have one here. Yeah, this is one vendor I have used before for creating an info record. There it is. Let me double click here. There you are. This is a business partner vendor. Okay. So we have the address, we have a lot of data needed, especially for procurement. But from the QM perspective, you will see that we need this code in particular because we will need to create, for example, white info record for this vendor. Okay, so that's why the vendor record is important for us. But from the code perspective, no, nothing else. We don't need any other information. But of course, for procurement, a lot of information is needed, including bank accounts, status, of course, can be centralized, blocked if needed. Procurement can do that. Payment transactions, as you can see, right? A lot of information needed for module. Okay, this was the vendor. I think we have now production resources and tools. Okay, yeah, let's go with that. Let's go to see that. Let me leave the microtransaction here. Okay. Okay, so for production resources and tools, we can do it in different ways. It's not mandatory, but one way of doing it is through material. Okay, we can also create equipments. We can also create documents. Okay, that we can attach in the master recipe, the routing or inspection log if needed, right? But in this case, as an example, we will be creating as a material. Okay, the production resource and tools is a specific material, as you can see here, is FHMI. Okay, that's the material type. Of course, depending on the company, you can copy and create a new code for this material type, right? Copying the same attributes and doing any change you need, right? If you don't need to change anything, it's advisable to use the original code already set up by SAP, okay? I already assigned a new range because it was not set up. Maybe it's a good time to show you very quickly. And R. Basically, I have created this new number range with a 2 here and 10,000 here. Yeah. So similar to this one, but I just added a 2 here. Okay. So we will recognize the number because of that. Okay. Because of the initial 2 here. The way you do this in the configuration, right? It's basically you just need to change the group when the material type is not assigned to any group. It means there is no range assigned. Like, for example, everything you see here is non-assigned elements, okay? So that product type or material type was here. Now it's not anymore because we already assigned it to the Z1. It was a new one here, see? But let's do as an example. I'm not going to save it probably, but just to show you, let's assume food. Food, there is no range for foods, right? So if you're creating a food type, it will not work, okay? So we can just click there and assign it to, let's assign it to Z1 as well, okay? I'm not going to save it, but just to show you. See, now if we create a new food material type, it will use this range, okay? But I'm not going to save it, as I said, okay? I will cancel this just to show you because I had to do that in the system. Okay, so let's go and create here. Let's go, we'll press enter. I will select the views. I don't think we need too many. This is just a record that should exist, right, to be referenced and purchased probably, and nothing else. So I might want accounting. Let me choose the first one. If there is any mandatory view, the system will tell me, okay? I don't think we need more than that, but of course I need to set up at what level, yeah, okay? Organizational level I mean, which is plant in this case. Yeah, okay, so description, let's assume this is the pH meter. Okay, pH meter. Let's add pieces as basic unit of measure. The material group for this, I don't think we will have, right, a specific, maybe we can consider parts. Let me see if there is any device or something like that. Electrical component. Okay, let's choose this one for now. It doesn't hurt. It's just for the sake of understanding that this is another record. Okay, it's in this case it's the type of material. Okay, I don't think we need to add anything else here. And in purchasing, let's put the purchasing value key 1, generic 1. Data storage, nothing, because there is no shelf life. This pHmeter can be associated with an equipment, and then we can use this one to do the calibration process when we need to integrate QM and PM for doing that. Okay, so we will see that in a specific video. But for now, I think this is enough. Let's jump into the costing. Let's leave this price control as standard cost. Let's valuation class. Let's see what valuation class we can assign. It's semi-finish. Okay, let's. It's not really a semi-finished, but I don't have too much choice here. Okay, so let's just assign. This is just to write the right account for stock of this. That's the purpose of the valuation class in general, or the main usage, I would say. I will assign a price here. Okay. Let's assume this costs 10 USD piece. Okay. Yeah, by one. Okay, so 10 US dollar, one piece. Price control, enter standard price. Okay, standard price, yes. Sorry, it is a standard price actually, not a moving price. Moving price will be calculated internally, but for other purposes, statistical purposes, I would say. And nothing to put here. Okay, let me just press enter. Probably I will be save it. Yes, let's save it. There we are. Okay, so we can go back. Display. It will be coming. In general, keep in mind that the last document or the last order or the last material will be in the buffer if you go back directly to display. Okay. In this case, we know it's basic, and we have accounting. There you are. So we have an object now. Okay. So, okay, we will use this later in another sessions. Okay. I think we cover the three. Yeah, we covered the three master records I wanted to show you in this session. For all the others, we will have a specific sessions. That's what I'm not talking about them now. Okay, you will see it in next session. Okay, thank you.